Björn Moshinsky. He's the head chef and the owner of the restaurant.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Yeah, fine.
So this is a brand new restaurant. You had your grand opening like a month ago. Why did you decide to open an all-vegan Italian restaurant?
I think the Italian style is a style who everyone knows and everyone likes, and that's what I want to do. I want to do a restaurant who bring all the people inside, if vegan or not vegan.
Today you have a brunch. Is it like that every Sunday? You have a Sunday brunch?
Saturday and Sunday we have every time brunch from 10 to 4, and from Monday to Friday we have a business lunch.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome.
Why do you encourage people to go vegan?
I've been vegan for a long time now, and I feel like it's one of those things which can only ever be positive. You know, like people make a lot of choices in their life, and some of those have negative impacts, some of those have positive impacts. And I've still yet to come across much negativity to do with veganism. So when I'm trying to encourage people to at least consider different options with their diet and lifestyle choices, I actually call it a positive lifestyle choice, rather than like a change or, you know, it's something to me that is only ever positive, whether it's the dietary aspect, your personal health, animal rights, you know, like everything that a vegan kind of stands for is always positive. So to me, there's nothing wrong with doing it. You know, like there's no downside.
How did you get started?
I was in my sort of late teens, and it was basically through music. So I was going to a lot of local hardcore shows, punk rock shows, and meeting new people. There was a couple of friends of mine in school who I played in my first band with who were vegetarian, and I wasn't. I was always raised eating meat and dairy. And I just remember asking them, you know, why do you do that? Why are you vegetarian? Like, I didn't understand it because I was so young and I'd never really thought about it before. And then through the shows and the music, I met more and more people who were vegan as well, and I was like, I can't even believe that. So like, it seemed pretty extreme to me at the time to not only be vegetarian but to give up, you know, dairy and all animal products.
Seems like
altogether.
everything.
Yeah. But I became really intrigued with it, and I found myself thinking, well, these guys are doing this for a reason. Like, what's the reason? So I was asking them their reasons, and then I started to do my own research. Just simple things like, you know, just Google searching things in the beginning and finding articles online. And then a few of my friends recommended some books to me, and I started reading more books. And I really wanted to understand why they had made this extreme choice, you know. And the more I found out about, the more I decided it was the kind of thing that I wanted to do myself.
Well, the thing is, most people agree that we should protect animals, that they shouldn't suffer. How can it be that so few of them actually make the effort to find out what's really going on in the food industry?
I think it always seems to come down to the saying, ignorance is bliss. You know, like I know so many people that say, I'm an animal lover, you know, I have pets, I love them, I adore them, I die for my pets. But then they're just used to living the lifestyle that they were raised with. And some of these people just don't seem to kind of want to find the darker side of the truth, you know?
Yeah.
So it's easier to just say, hey, I love animals and I have pets that I love, but I'm going to continue doing what I've always been brought up doing because it's easier to do that.
Yeah. Well, a very prominent person in this scene is Dr. Melanie Joy. She's a psychologist. And she wrote a book called Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs, and Wear Cows, which is like exactly what you just talked about. She also came up with a term called carnism. Yeah, you heard about that?
Yes, I have.
And her idea is that carnism is a more accurate term for actually the whole society of eating meat. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been talking about it with some people before. The term omnivore or carnivore or herbivore I guess. But speaking more about omnivore and carnivore, it gives the idea that people that eat meat or eat animal products need those products to survive.
Yeah.
And I think there's been so many people who have proved, been vegetarian their entire lives and lived a long and full life, or vegan as well, that we don't need these products to live. It's purely it's like a psychological thing, and it's a way they've been brought up. They've been brought up this lifestyle, and they've been brought up to think we need meat or animal products to survive. And we're trying to change that and prove that that's incorrect.
Yeah. Well, like all ideological ideas, carnism also has sort of a defense system. Like the first of them being denial, and the way the way this denial is possible is partly because everything is invisible. The animals, we don't see the animals, do we? Yeah,
everything's so removed. I mean, you go to the supermarket and you buy a product off a shelf, and that product is, a slab of steak inside of packaging. And I think that the entire world would view things a lot differently if they had to either kill the animals themselves or see all the things that happen behind the scenes. Watch an animal be slaughtered, watch an animal be transported in a truck, crushed with loads of other animals. And it's unfortunate that that's the way that society and the powers that be have been able to get away with things like this for so long.
Every vegan is used to getting the question, why don't you drink milk? I mean, they don't kill the cows. They need to be milked. That's what they say. What do you say about that?
Again, that's like this age-old thing where the dairy industry just has this monopoly over media, basically, and over years and years they've found ways to make us think that we need milk for calcium and we need dairy for our health, which in a lot of ways is absolutely not true. And there are so many other factors of the dairy industry which deal with cruelty, like for example, artificial insemination. A cow has to be pregnant to provide milk.
And a lot of people don't seem to know that.
Yeah, they just think that milk magically gets made. A cow is just like any other animal, or like humans as well.
Yeah.
You have to be pregnant to produce milk and to lactate, and so cows are artificially inseminated over and over again, so they're constantly kept pregnant and constantly providing us with milk.
And calves.
Yeah, and then they give birth to calves who are then sent off for slaughter, for veal. So by supporting dairy, by consuming dairy, you essentially are still supporting animal cruelty and death in some form.
Another common argument is the one about the eggs. I only buy, the free-range organic eggs. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I have friends like that too. They have their own chickens, or they only buy from small farms, or free-range and organic labeling is, at least in Australia, I know it's a very big grey area, and the conditions that a farm is required to have to label as free-range, it's kind of pretty lax, and there's still a lot of cruelty that occurs in these situations. And then even if it's just a small independent farm, maybe they are buying their chicks for a hatchery to make eggs. And what a lot of people don't know is that when hatcheries have male chicks, they don't need male chicks. Male chicks don't provide eggs, so the male chicks just get killed. Whether it's put in big bags, suffocated, thrown straight into a garbage bin, thrown into a grinder. I've seen videos of male chicks being thrown into a grinder, which is really upsetting. It's like there's this tunnel vision with eggs and dairy that people just they see what they want to see, and they don't understand all the other stuff that goes on.
A common misconception seems to be that vegans deprive themselves. How do you feel about that?
Deprive themselves of what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most common questions I get asked is, don't you miss this? Don't you miss milk?
Exactly.
Don't you miss ice cream? Don't you miss blah, blah, blah? And the truth is, since being vegan, especially lately in this day and age, there are so many products available that that are basically a vegan alternative or a vegan equivalent of many of the foods that people consume on a daily basis now. You can get a vegan ice cream readily these days. You can get a vegan steak if you want. You can get vegan cheese, vegan candy, vegan chocolate, anything. Even eggs. You can almost get a realistic version of a vegan egg nowadays. I've seen photos online of people making fried eggs that are completely vegan. So people just don't understand that it's such a big thing these days. It's growing very rapidly, the popularity of veganism and the positive lifestyle change. And along with this rapid change comes demand for these products, and so there are companies and people out there filling that demand, and so the whole culture is really growing.
But an important thing is that being vegan isn't just about what you eat, is it?
No,
it's also about other things like what you wear.
Absolutely, and a lot of people don't take that into consideration as well. But like you said, the whole idea behind veganism is not wearing, using, consuming any animal products. So whether that be eating milk and eggs, or wearing leather or wool or silk. So yeah, it's to a lot of people it seems to be like such a big change. They feel like they have to give up so much stuff, including even now the shoes that they wear. But as I just said earlier, because it's such a popular thing these days, and it really is growing quite rapidly, there are so many shoe companies out there. There are places making belts out of PVC and polyurethane, and it's phenomenal how much stuff you can find that can satisfy the demand for what you need to be vegan these days.
Is there anything hard about being vegan?
People ask me how it is being vegan on tour, always going to a different city and some places I've never been before, and maybe parts of the world where veganism isn't very big. Obviously places like Berlin and New York City and Sydney, Melbourne, Australia, they're big cities with pretty popular, and current cultures. I guess being vegan on the road is sometimes a little more difficult than usual. For example, maybe I'll go and play a gig in Israel, and they're just not going to have a vegan supermarket in Israel. But
Tel Aviv might. They're getting good.
I've been to Tel Aviv. Yeah. I just had falafel on the beach. I guess I'm used to just being prepared as a vegan, especially on tour. So I always bring a good stock of food with me, and it's not just veganism. It's any sort of interest in health. It's like you can go on tour and you can find food anywhere, but maybe if you just want to stay healthy, you can't eat Burger King every day. Or
a lot of people do though. Huh?
Exactly, yeah. So for me, veganism and health go hand in hand, and if that takes some sort of preparation, where I have to bring some of my own food on tour or stock up on things every now and then, I'm happy to do that because my health and my lifestyle is the most important thing to me.
But I'm guessing in the music scene that you're in, the vegan catering must be getting pretty good. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially here in Germany, we've been getting really, really good catering. Lots of healthy options, and they always make it really interesting over here in Europe as well. Like you can have something that's like a really healthy salad or a stew, and then maybe they'll give you like a platter of mock meats to make a sandwich from or something like that. So it does make it a lot easier in places like this, for sure.
How do you react when people call you or veganism extreme?
I guess when I first heard about veganism, it sounded extreme to me. The idea of it, giving up so much of what you're used to doing and eating. But I've been vegan for 14 years almost, and I guess it's just such a normal thing to me now. If someone puts it to me that what I'm doing is really extreme, I feel like just what I'm doing is normal. My daily life, going down to the supermarket and buying food just like everybody else is just normal to me. And a lot of people would say that eating meat and supporting the meat industry is extreme. You know, when you see the footage that I've seen of exactly what goes on to get meat from a slaughterhouse to your table, that to me is extreme. And people have been brought up to think it's completely normal, but you know, I think that's way more extreme than me just having a salad every now and then and going to a vegan supermarket once in a while.
Yeah. Well, what's been shocking to me lately is talking to young vegans who still live at home. The way some of them are being treated by the parents, they're being laughed at and ridiculed, and some will even, you know, will have situations where their parents will put meat into their food without them knowing. And they partly get almost excluded from the family, like from family meals. They just eat without them. They won't buy groceries for them. It's like, you don't want to eat meat, that's your problem. They don't get any support. What would you say to these young vegans?
I mean, I'm very aware of these problems. I don't know, a lot of people might know this, but I'm very active on Twitter and my social media, and I interact with a lot of fans and young people, whether it's fans of my music or just people asking me questions about music or veganism or anything. And I've run into that a lot, and I've had a lot of young people say exactly what you just said, that they want to turn vegan or vegetarian, but their family won't let them. And I think it's really sad, and in extreme cases where, you know, parents refuse to buy food for their children who are just trying to do something positive, or refuse to make them food or exclude them, to me that's a form of bullying. You know, it's the same as being excluded from a group of popular people at school, or treated differently because you have different ideas about your lifestyle and what you want to do. It's really sad, and to those young people, I say to just try and, you know, persevere with it and try and explain your standpoint. And I think that one of the most important things is to become really informed about what you want to do, and do all your research, learn exactly all the pros and cons, and, you know, try and present that in a way to your parents and family so that they understand where you're coming from. And, you know, I think that once people see your reasoning behind it, and that it is only a positive thing, whether it be really different to what, you know, your family is used to and the way you've been brought up, once they see that all you're trying to do is do some good, I would like to think that most people can relate to that in some way and, you know, understand the depth of it. Otherwise, I guess it's a tricky one, because when you're at that age where your parents do still have a lot of influence over you, you just have to try and make them understand, and if they won't, then I'm not sure. It's really hard.
But what they're doing is actually really brave. I mean,
Absolutely.
Standing alone and believing in what they believe in, and even though they have to justify themselves everywhere they go and get excluded, they're my heroes. They're so young, and they
totally.
just
I mean, I was
this.
in the exact same position in some ways. When I first went vegetarian and vegan, I was still living at home with my parents, and they were more supportive than I think most people's parents were. But initially, it was the same thing. It was like, this is just a phase. I was doing something different. My mum didn't want to cook, 2 or 3 different meals for the family, but I feel like they make it a bigger deal than it needs to be. It's so easy to prepare a meal and then keep the non-vegan ingredients separate for the rest of the family members, and prepare one big meal and then add what they want to add to it. And we learnt that with myself and my parents, and then once my parents saw how serious I was about this choice and about the positive effects it can have on me and everyone around me, they did become really supportive. And especially since I've been vegan now for almost 14 years, it's not just a phase, it's a long-standing belief that I have, and they became more supportive then when they saw that too, that it's something that I'm really passionate about and that I will stand by.
Now, to the people out there who want to know more about being vegan and what's happening in the meat industry, the dairy industry, what should they check out? What kind of videos, books, links, whatever?
I mean, with the internet these days, it's so easy to find out. Whether you just type something to Google and do a search, you come up with so many options. Websites like PETA, and for Australians, Animals Australia, doing really great work at the moment. Again, myself on social media. If people have questions for me on Twitter, I readily answer them as much as I can. Some of the videos that I think had the biggest impact on me were there's a Gary Yourofsky speech on YouTube. It's quite long. It goes for around about an hour.
Yeah.
So it's, you have to endure it a bit to sit through it. But
I think it's called the best speech
best
ever.
speech ever, yeah.
If you
It's
type that
fantastic.
into YouTube.
And I've watched it with friends before, and it's really kind of opened their eyes on it. People who were completely shut off to the idea beforehand have watched that and seen the facts.
Yeah.
He does a really good job of explaining all aspects of the choice to make a change to the vegan lifestyle, whether it be to do with health, environment, animal cruelty. So that's a good one. I watched one called Forks Over Knives, which deals more with human health. It sets aside the animal rights sort of reasonings and the environmental, and just deals with our own health. And for people who perhaps don't know a lot about the animal cruelty, or don't care so much, as sad as that is to me, if you're concerned about your own health and well-being, then I urge people to watch that, because it can still make a difference. And while it might only be making a difference to you and your health, in turn it's making a positive difference to a lot of other aspects. Earthlings is another serious one. I've actually never seen the full length of Earthlings. I didn't become aware of the documentary until I was already vegan. So I feel like a lot of what Earthlings deals with I already knew in some way or another.
You don't need to torment yourself.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme and it's pretty sad, but it shows the truth. And so I urge anyone who wants to know kind of everything about what happens behind the scenes to watch that.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.